Hello, Prince Crew LDN. As you know, we're looking to make a homeless documentary, and to do that, we figured we'd start to investigate and look at people that are actually handling this crisis, that are actually on the front line of this issue in this country. And we're starting with Solomon Smith, the founder of the Soup Kitchen.
My name is Solomon Smith. I'm the founder of a homeless charity called Bricks and Soup Kitchen, and basically one of our main objectives is to tackle homelessness in the UK, but at the same time, what can we do to better them as people? So even if it's kind of getting them back into work, getting them back into education, training, and just kind of helping them to even start volunteering. So it's just about just what can we do to get them back into civilization.
It's getting them back into volunteering and also giving them advice. Like you give advice on employment here as well. So that's like CV building, getting them, because volunteering, of course, that counts as work experience to get an employment as well, right?
You know, a lot of the times people think helping a homeless person is by giving them something to eat, and that's so not the case. Food is not their main priority. Their main priority is about what can I do to keep sane in this cruel world where everybody's going home, especially when it hits like Christmas. Everybody's going home, nice warm house. I'm on the streets, you know, and this is where I've thought about it in different aspects, not just giving food, but clothing and mental health, and you know, so definitely trying to get them into work, you know, would be one of the biggest pinnacles for them to be self-sustainable, but also at the same time to be working as a group of people, and then that allows them to be, you know, back in civilization. We used to get a lot of donations from like Greg's, and Greg's, you know, they do like a lot of donuts and sandwiches, etc. So the contract what we used to have with Greg's, that if we're collecting today, the food has to be eaten by the next day. So what I would do is I would bring it into the soup kitchen, but we close by 2 o'clock. But then my centre would start by 4 o'clock. So I'll say, guys, this has to be eaten by 6 o'clock. And then the first thing the guys would say is, oh, you know, is this homeless people food? I'm like, what do you mean homeless people food? Food's food. You know what I mean? They eat what we eat, they drink what we drink. You know what I mean? And that's like one of the main things I didn't want to do as well, is a lot of the supermarkets that they will be like, oh yeah, this is damaged, oh you can take it. I'm like, no, you know, I want to get proper food, what you would eat. Don't give me food was dropped on the floor. You see what I'm saying? So it's about changing that whole dynamic of what society thinks, what corporate thinks. You know, homeless people are human too, you know, and that's one of the biggest ethos that I go with.
So you say you get donations from Nando's and Greg's. Yes. How did that come about? Like, who approached who?
Do you know what? That was so funny, because when I first started the soup kitchen, we didn't have social media, Facebook, nothing. I was just using my own Facebook and kind of pulling it out, saying guys looking for volunteers to help out the soup kitchen, but didn't know a lot of people was kind of sharing it and, you know, kind of passing it on. And then I literally got a phone call. You know when you're seeing, especially with iPhones, you know, you can see what area the person's calling you from, and I got a call from Tennessee, and I was thinking, this was literally about a month of, and this is like the first time, you know, so we was running for a month. So I've never really learned how to kind of work with corporates before. I never really learned how to speak their language. That is something I was kind of put in the deep end. And it was like, I would literally close up the soup kitchen, driving home, and then I got a random call, and then, you know, they was like, hey, is this Solomon? You know, we heard that you run a soup kitchen to the homeless. And I'm like, yeah. And they was like, oh, basically we run the franchise of Nando's. So we're the head office, but we run all the franchises in Tennessee. Yeah, and I was like, what? And then bearing in mind, we wasn't a charity, we was just a name who was just providing a service. So and they said, you know what, we want to come down and have a meeting with you. I said, huh? You're gonna come all the way down from America? They said, yeah. bearing in mind it was Tuesday, they come down on the Friday, and the meeting didn't last no more than 10 minutes. They said, yep. So we go to the Brixton Nando's, Camberwell, Streatham, and literally we pick up to 60 pieces of chicken every Mondays and Thursdays, and literally you know, half will go to families and half will be kind of making on site.
The supposedly homeless food that you do here is Nando's and Greg's, which everyone is. I know Prince Crew out there and we eat a lot of Nando's. Nando's is great. That's awesome. So when you first started the soup kitchen, you were a youth worker, right? I believe, or a social worker, a youth worker, and you started the soup kitchen out of your own wages. You had no funding. Actually, you still don't have any government funding to this day, don't you?
Like, my story basically is I've got learning difficulties. So from school I kind of see like all of my friends who's like very good at reading and writing, and when it comes to exams they're very good at just doing the exam, but me and my twin brother will be looking at each other like, what the hell is going on? Like, we literally can't fathom what's kind of going on, you know. Left school with no GCSEs at 16, you know. I've never experienced going to college ever, because if you had no GCSEs you couldn't go to college. But in my time we had a thing called training courses, so you could redo your English and you get paid £50 a week. So from 15, I think they changed it to EMA, where EMA now they give you £30 a week.
Well, there's no EMA now.
How did they even do that no more?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, wow. Yeah, so literally I was doing that for a bit, and then I started just doing my own little community events on my estate, and then that's when I realised I was quite good at kind of helping young people with knife crime, gun crime, drugs, etc. Try to turn people away from crime, etc. And then yeah, done that until I was about 21, 22, and then my manager at the time was like, you know, you could go to university as a mature student. And I was like, how? Like, I left school with no GCSEs, no qualifications. I've still got no qualifications. How am I going to go to university? And literally done the UCAS form, and I actually got into about 3 different universities. So that was applied social science and youth and community. And the day I started my lectures, the day I felt like I was at school again, I was like, I can't do it. Like, everything they're talking is going right over my head. Like, I'm not understanding. And then literally I was walking around the uni, and then I saw a thing called dyslexic awareness, and then that's when I kind of went into there, and then I was just like, you know, I think I might have a bit of learning difficulties. Done the assessment, and then literally, you know, once my assessment was so high, they gave me another assessment in the West End, and then when I went in there, I was found to have the highest spec of dyslexia and autistic as well. So I always thought there was something kind of different with me, because, you know, the way how I kind of do things is, you know, it's very repeated. You know, everybody knows if I go into the car, there's the same music I would always play. You know, the way I would always do things is always the same. So that's when I found out I was autistic and severely dyslexic as well. But then that's when I got a lot of support. So they gave me things that would help me to read. There'll be things that would read to me, pick up the lecture, etc. And then that's when I actually completed the course, and you know, that's when I got a degree. That was one of my biggest achievements ever. The day I handed in my dissertation, like my last piece of work at university, is the day I started the soup kitchen. You know, at the same time I was working part-time as a youth worker. So I've been working for the council for about almost 16 years. Literally, I've seen the changes from having a lot of funding to absolutely zero. Like Summer's here now, a lot of youth clubs has got zero funding. So, and it was literally, I remember every time I was getting paid, I had to go Tesco's, buy biscuits, tea bags, cups, literally spending at least £300 to £400 a month just for the soup kitchen. And I've done that for like 3 years. literally for about 3 years of running the soup kitchen. I just kind of spent my own money, and then once kind of people started to see that, you know, I was actually being serious about it, is when we was getting quite a lot of people kind of wanted to support. So we've got, you know, we'll get a random check coming in for like £300, £1,000, £500. Then trust will kind of get involved, and trust will be like, you know, oh, we're seeing the great work you're doing, £500 here, you know, and that's literally how we've been surviving. But it's not enough for us to kind of pay staff, but it is enough for us to kind of like keep the lights on and to you know, maybe go cash and carry and, you know, buy more food, etc, etc.
You said you never started with any government funding, and you still don't have any government funding. Why is that?
Firstly, it was because of my dyslexia. So with government funding, it's about an application form, and the application form has to be worded so precisely what they like, you know, and people who's very good at doing that, they charge. And at the time we didn't really have funds to do that, and once we started to get the funders to reach out to us saying, how come you've not really reached out to us, is when they had a lot of stipulations. So they will say, oh, you can only work with people from Lambeth from this age to that age. But for us, what makes us so unique, we're an open door policy. So anyone from anywhere could come in. We don't care about your race, religion, postcode. If you need support, you get support, you know. And for me, who's worked in the council for over 16 years, I've seen the division of, if you're not from Lambeth, young people couldn't come on a trip, where I had to lie on the application form and say, no, you don't say you're from Southwark, say you're from Lambeth, just so you can come on the trip. So I said, if I'm going to ever start up something of my own, I'm going to do it where I don't care about your borough. And a lot of the funders are saying we only could fund if you're working with different boroughs, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's been a bit difficult ride.
So what I understood about that is the funders, they approached you and gave you stipulations. They tried to control you, tried to say you can't work with this person, you can't help that person, and you as a good humanitarian decided to say, well, sod that, I'm going to go do my own thing and help whoever I want. In London right now, it's estimated nearly 9,000 people are homeless.
I think it's way more than that.
You think it's way more? I mean, that's, well, you don't know with statistics. They're always up and down, always up in the air. But even so, that's still like a high record, a record-breaking number. And you say there's probably even more. Do you think this crisis is actually being recognised for the true seriousness that it is?
I think it is recognised, but it's embarrassing. People's always said, how come the government's not helping? How come the government's not helping? The work what we're doing is what the government should be doing, you know. And I think what they don't want is to have that embarrassment over them. I don't know if you guys remember. Do you remember when the Olympics, the 2012 Olympics, were here? What they done is they done a street sweep. So they literally gave every homeless person like £100, and they said, get out of London. Get out of London. And that's why on the 2012 Olympics, it was crystal clean. Didn't see no homeless. People was like, wow, there's no homeless. They literally done a sweep, and then a lot of them went to the seaside.
They can't spend the money and they're homeless and depression sinks in. Drugs is like their escape from them. It's the only joy they have in life.
And I always say to people, try to understand it like this. I will do the soup kitchen. My escape is playing Grand Theft Auto, so I'll go home and play G. That's my escape. My twin brother, he smokes, so he will buy cigarettes, smoke. My sister, she drinks wine. That is our ways of escaping. It's like a quick little, maybe 20-minute escape. However, when people are on drugs, a lot of the times it's about escaping the harsh reality of life. You know, and especially that if they don't have nowhere to go, you know, you're probably seeing them doing craziness, but you didn't know why they're doing craziness, you know. So I always say to people, kind of always think outside the box on why you might see someone acting mad erratic, you know what I mean?
This is the final question. How much worse do you think it has to get before the government decides to stop being embarrassed and actually puts in work to actually stop this homeless crisis?
Have you seen a film called City of Gods?
City of God? Yeah, I have. It's a very popular Brazilian film, isn't it?
It has to get like that.
I'm Matai again, and I'm here with a special, very special guest, Zoe.
Hello people. What I'd like to spread about the world. I've been homeless, I've been on drugs, I've been on drink, I've been through it all. I'm 45 now, and I started at 17, and I've only had my place 13 years. But everyone out there who are in the same boat. And I believe that everybody out there, it's not just England, it's Romania, it's every place in the world. It's not just our country, it's everybody's country. And people need to support those because there is not enough homes. There's too many buildings that are shut down that are just left to rot. And that is wrong when they can be built into homes for other people. And I find that very sad. Sorry.
No, take your time.
There's so much the world can give, other people can give. Why don't people just stop for a second, instead of looking down on people, look up to them or say, excuse me, would you like a hand? How can I help you? If they want money in that lot, don't matter what they spend it on, they need money. They're doing what they have to do to survive. And in this world, if it's begging, thieving, whatever, they're doing it to survive, not out of nastiness. They're doing it to survive themselves because they need to. Whereas me, I just believe I just got a place and I'm happy with that. But if I had a big house, I'd put every homeless person in it. If I won the lottery, I'd open up loads of houses for people. And that's what's needed in this world. A lot more people to come to the homeless to see how they're really going, because they just look at them like they're a piece of dirt. They're not. They're human beings. You're human, I'm human. I've been through it all. I've helped out many people, and I'll continue doing it no matter what. The government needs to sort this out now. It's not too late if the government just get off their arses, excuse my language, and done something. Look at charity runs. They don't do charity runs for the homeless. Why don't they do something charitable for the homeless? How many homeless are here in England alone? How many homeless are there in other countries? I see the adverts and I get a lump in my throat and tears in my eyes just watching those poor kiddies and those poor adults. I've been there, done it, wore the t-shirt and threw it away. But my heart goes with all my heart and soul that I've got left. If I can help one person today, then the God is on my side.
And I'm here today with special guest Anne.
Anne from Hope for Newham.
So that's a charity, yes?
We're not a charity yet, but we are. Charity status is pending, so we've still got a bit of work to do on it. So, yeah.
So what are you doing here tonight at Stratford?
We're feeding the homeless, not just homeless, but those that have been put in accommodation but without any support, so they still come back here for food. We've got a guy here, or a couple of guys actually, that come back because this is a community for them. This becomes their family, and when they're put into like a hostel or somewhere, it's very often somewhere that they don't know anybody and they're just left and they're lonely, so they come back very often just to have a chat and just see a few old faces. So.
And are you a volunteer at this charity, that Hope for Newham, that feeds the homeless around here?
I am the founder and volunteer, yeah. No one, we're all volunteers, nobody gets paid for anything. We're completely self-funded, so we rely heavily on people's goodwill, donations and fundraising, and yeah, we don't get anything from anybody.
Oh, so you're not exactly a charity, your charity status is pending. So you're a group of volunteers, I mean you're the founder, so you've got a group of volunteers to buy food, cook it and spread it around across the
volunteers don't really buy the food, it's us, we source the food. We're really fortunate that we've got a restaurant now that donates us 100 meals every week, So we take our containers on Monday and pick it up on a Tuesday, and we've got hot, it's normally some kind of curry and rice, so yeah, we've got a hot meal, but everything else we just have to get, if no one's donated money, then we just get it out of our own pocket, as simple as that. So
How long have you been doing this?
it'll be 3 years next month. It'll be our 3rd anniversary next month, so yeah.
3 years for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years, yeah.
How did this all come about? Like, how did you start out?
I've actually been involved with feeding the homeless for about 25 years now, starting off in the night shelters when Newham had the night shelters going, then that stopped, and then they've recently opened. I think it's been going now about 7 years, but I knew there was a problem at Stratford, and so I just came down here one night to see how many people we actually would need to feed, and yeah, it started from there. We knew that Tuesdays nobody was feeding them on a Tuesday, so we just took over Tuesday, and we've been here ever since on a Tuesday without fail.
So the homeless come to Stratford Shopping Centre when it's almost closing down for shelter because,
really, once the shops close, they normally sit outside or in the parks. But yeah, once the shops close, 6, half 6, they're in here waiting to be fed. I mean, as soon as we get here for about 7, and there's normally people sitting on the seats, and then when we start getting the food ready, there's a queue. Well, it went all the way around there today, so, and we've done almost 100 tonight, so.
What's your average?
It's averaging now between 100 and 125 every week.
So you've been doing this for 3 years. Have you noticed the number of homeless people increasing over those 3 years or decreasing?
No, increasing. When we first came here, so we've been here for 3 years. When we first started, we were serving about 25 to 30 people on average. But say now it's between 100 and 125. So I think that we've seen really the increase in the last year, like a quick increase. And it's not getting any better. And then you've got outside of the centre there, you've got it's called Tent City now. There's like tents all along under the just along by the bridge there, and it's just not getting any better, and the council are not doing anything about it. Well, I went to a meeting about 4 months ago, and the council said, apologise, we've not been supportive and all this, and but things will change. And they said, if we got you a community centre near Stratford, would you then, because they don't want us to bring food in. They say that by bringing food into the centre, we're encouraging people to become homeless. I mean, our food is good, but it's not that good that you would give up your home for. And that was from the mayor, by the way, of Newham, the new mayor.
The mayor of Newham actually said that bringing food into Stratford Shopping Centre,
homelessness.
You're encouraging homelessness. Wow. I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, and this meeting that I went to, they said, if we give you a centre where you can go, would you not come in here anymore? I said, that'd be great. I said, because it breaks my heart that we're giving people food and then we're having to watch them sit down on the floor and go and eat it. We can, if you give us a centre, they'll have tables and chairs, we can serve them with proper plates, they can sit and have a proper meal and have, some kind of something between each other, between us and them. And to this date, we've not heard a thing. I've not had an email or anything to say, things are still in the pipeline, or we've got somewhere, or, we're looking at nothing at all. I've stopped going to the meetings now, because we was going to meetings, and out of these meetings, oh right, we'll just arrange the date for the next meeting. Yeah, but what's actually being done to help these people? Nothing. They keep talking about outreach workers that are coming out. There was summer last year, we had supposedly outreach workers come, but they were actually from the Home Office. So they was saying to the people, oh yes, we're going to help you, we need all your details, need your particulars. And the next time they were here, they was with vans taking them to the airport and deporting them. So, it's just horrendous for these people. It really is.
What do you think are the leading causes of homelessness? Like, how does someone an average person just wander well, I'm not saying one day, but over a period of time, end up homeless?
For one, it's greedy landlords. The places are so expensive. We come a lot across a lot of people here that say, the landlord wants X amount extra in rent, and we just haven't got it. So they get evicted, and a lot of them don't know their rights. So they're very often evicted on that day without it going through a court process, because they don't realise that you have to. There is a process to being evicted. You just can't just get thrown out like that. Relationship breakups where they've got no family that can take them in. Obviously, addiction, that's quite prevalent. Although in saying that, there's a lot of people came here that didn't have a problem with addiction, but because they've been homeless for so long, what else have they got to blot out? And I've heard this. Somebody said this to me last week. He said, I've only got this addiction because if I don't drink, I've got to face the reality of just sitting about every day, waiting for handouts, begging, and there's all sorts of stories.
Yeah. So drugs and alcohol is escapism.
Yeah.
It's the escape from reality, because we have video games, we have films, we can just go window shopping.
Yeah.
Not people that aren't homeless, but the only escapism is unfortunately addiction.
Yeah. Well, they can't even come into the centre during the day if it's pouring down with rain outside. They're not allowed into the centre. The security get rid of them. They won't let them come in. The only time they can come in is once the shops are shut. So, and they can only sit in a library for so long. And it's just I don't know. The council are just not doing anything, as far as I can see. We're not seeing anything being done. Whether there's anything being done behind the scenes, but I don't know anything about it. So,
what would you say to people that had judgments about homeless people? How they all have mental disorders, they're all druggies, they're all potential criminals?
I would say speak to them. Don't because like we've had volunteers say, "Oh, is it safe there? What are they like?" And come and speak to them. Yes, you get the odd ones like the guy that was just there just now. He's got a serious mental health issues, and he's actually had to close one of the centres during the day because he was causing so much problem that for the safety they had to close it. But generally, as I say, we've been here 3 years. We've never had any problems. There's been the occasional fight, but nothing ever involving us between themselves. Normally, you've got my space. I'm always there, that kind of thing. Or it's drug and drink fueled. But yeah, we've never had any problems. And I say, and the general, if you speak to a homeless person, you see a homeless person in the street, go up and have a chat, because they're just people like you and I that have fallen on hard times. You know what I mean? And it's sad that people don't. And a good way of if they say, well, I don't know what to say, I always say to people, in your bag or your pockets, put some socks, some wet wipes, something like that. When you go to work in the morning, if you see the same person, say, can I give you some socks? Can I give you some wet wipes? And, how you doing today? And then strike up a conversation. And, it makes their day. The amount of people have said, if people stopped and talked to us so that we know we're not invisible. And because they are, that's somebody's son, somebody's daughter out there, somebody's dad. And it's a shame that there is this stigma around, but because of the mental health issues as well, people do get scared. But then if someone starts abusing you, just walk away. So.
That was a very good interview. I'd like to thank you. Anne, was it?
Anne, yeah.
Anne. Oh, what's your full name?
Anne Croney.
Anne Croney. And your charity's name is?
Hope for Newham. Yeah.
Let's get a shot of him. I'm here interviewing a rough sleeper here at Stratford Centre. His name is?
Robert.
Oh, Robert. So how long have you been a rough sleeper?
1 month and 1 week, I think. Yeah, 1 month.
Oh, 1 month now? Oh, so not very long.
I have a long story. I'm not for everybody like that here. I'm not same like everybody.
Okay. Oh, so how did you become a rough sleeper so recently?
I working before here in England. I was with my ex-wife. Is going and me I remain in the street. This is my story. My ex-wife is going and me I remain in the street. And look at me in the fucking Stratford Centre.
Oh, so You broke up with your ex-wife.
Yeah.
She left, and you got kicked out, and you didn't have a place to go.
Yeah, because the house when I stay together with she, the house is on the she name, you know. When I shouting with she, go, it's my house. No, it's my house. No, it's my house. Okay, it's your house. You understand?
So all the property was in her name, and she just kicked you out, and you had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I don't have friends. I don't have where to go, and I remain in the street.
And you don't have any friends or family here?
No, friends, just what you see here in the Stratford.
So your only friends are other homeless people.
Friends. If I having one normal friends, I think it's help me. No, it's normal. But if you seeing me here, I don't have friends.
Where are you originally from?
Yeah.
So you were working before, right?
I working in the car wash, factory, in the kitchen like a cleaner. No.
You worked in a car wash and you worked in a factory. Even though you were employed, I mean you were working and employed, you still became homeless just because someone kicked you out. So is it because that rent is too much in London? Everywhere's too expensive?
No, it's not about the rent, because the rent I understand is 400 or 500. If you're working, I think you can paying this. Just I don't know what I want to make it. It's what happened with me. Just I remain like that all time. I color, and I stay with my teddy bear. This is my fucking life now.
It's not about qualifications, it's just opportunity, or some people's just emotional state and bad luck.
Because look, you're seeing these people who are giving food. Yeah, it's coming all people, homeless people here. Yeah, if it's giving all every day, every night, it's giving food, it's giving water, it's giving clothes, it's giving all. The homeless people is no go to work. It's remain in the street, and it stay like that. The people is giving £2, £3 for drugs and finish the life. No, this is a life? I don't think so.
You think people are too soft on homeless people?
Yeah, the people like be homeless people. You know, when you are homeless people, you don't have responsibility. You know, need pay the bills. You know, need go to the kid to the school. You know, need make nothing. You just stay. And all these people is like this.
So I'm here with Israel. And I'm here with
Maria.
Okay, so can you tell me a bit about your story?
No, well, I've been working very hard for years and years, and I took early retirement, and I invested my money on my apartment. It's just that, I had death in my family. When my brother's death, things were going a bit down for me, but I managed to struggle and carry on to have my apartment and pay my bills. And then I had my eye operation again. After my eye operation, I was not well at all, not fit to be able to do full-time job, right? But still I would do part-time job to be able to maintain a healthy living. Despite this, my sister, after that my sister passed away, and then my husband was very ill, where I had I could see I had to be able to maintain my apartment, pay my bills on time, and I tried to secure a lot of money that I had my saving, pay everything until I can go back to work. When there were allegations against me from other staff where I used to work, if it was false, that put me down. Again, all this trouble, I tried to secure more money to pay my bills on time. While trying to get more money, I fell down and injured my back. I had a lumbar fracture. So since then I haven't been able to get any more money, and my apartment went away. It had been repossessed, all my belongings taken away from me, nowhere to go, nothing, so I have to start from zero now.
So how long have you been homeless for?
Well, I would say nearly 1 month, you know, but trying to get, again, even if people want to offer me a place, I cannot climb upstairs because I've got a fracture of my toe, fracture of my spine. It's difficult to go upstairs, so trying to get an apartment on the ground floor has been difficult for me. No.
So have you been getting any medical care outside?
Well, medical care, the doctor, yeah, I've been to the hospital a few times because I had chest infection, but put me again down because I couldn't secure the apartment on time. People did try to secure the apartment, okay, but it was too late because by the time they contacted me, my phone was off. They did try their best, of course. I would have probably been able to rescue it, but by the time I feel better, they contacted me. even with pain, it was quite difficult to walk, to get advice. Citizen Advice Bureau and the job center helped me to get solicitor's advice. But now I'm getting solicitor's advice, but the place has been repossessed already and the place is getting sold.
Israel, can you tell us a bit about you?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit quick. I'm not going to go too far into it. I'm born in Stratford. Yeah, lived in Plaistow for about 16 years. Yeah, right. Yeah, I've been living in Stratford for 32 years now. Been living in Stratford. Yeah, right. I've had various jobs. Yeah, right, such as lift engineer. What else? Warehouse. Yeah, traffic marshal. Yeah, right. Banksman, yeah, labourer, yeah, okay, and I've been worked for the last 20 years. It's just been on and off, yeah, working on and off, yeah. And my problem is I've got a tension type headache that I've had for about 28 years, a tension type headache, yeah, right. And I've managed just to take medication for it, yeah, okay, yeah. But I've been on ESA. Let me say I've been on ESA for about 6 years, yeah. You're right. And the problem what's brought me here now is I was getting ESA, yeah, right, and I was paying the rent. No. I was living off the ESA, and they were paying. I was buying food, and the council was paying my rent. Yeah, right. But the problem now is that it got changed. I was eligible. Went to see the doctors, and I was eligible to work. Yeah. So then I've been put on universal credit. Yeah. All right. So the universal credit. Yeah. Right. I didn't. They pay you benefit. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But you have to pay for your housing rent. Okay, so basically it's £400, yeah, they give you, yeah, and £377 for your rent, yeah. So all in all, they give you about £780, yeah. Now the problem is, I was paying my rent, yeah. I started to pay £200 a month, yeah, because I was still thinking I was on housing benefit. You see. So this went on for a while, for the last, for at least 2 months. Yeah, it went on for two months, from last November till this last January, yeah. And the council wrote me and said, "Oh, Israel, you're in arrears." Okay, yeah. So I said, "What do you mean I'm in arrears?" He said, "Well, you're paying rent, but you're not paying enough." You know what I'm saying? So I got into £1,200 rent arrears. Yeah, and then eventually got into £1,400 rent arrears. Yeah, okay. So I made an arrangement with them to pay my rent, to pay £500, yeah, and £10 every month. Okay. Problem with that, I get £738 universal credit to money, yeah, right, a month, but I'm having to take £510 off my £738 every month, yeah, which leaves me only about £250, yeah, okay. So I'm struggling, like, do the washing, food, and all that. I was being struggling. You see what I'm saying, yeah? So I struggle until I found out that this place was around, yeah, for me to get food, free food. So I've been coming there for now at least about a month now, getting the free food, getting the free food. I'm getting on very good. I'm looking for work, yeah, and I'll be working pretty soon as a security person, security guard.
Good.
That's yeah. So that's about it. So yeah, that's about it. That's what I just wanted to cut it. It's very long. But
yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your stories, guys.
Yo, Prince Crew LD and the viewers. We're in Leicester today, believe it or not. We're moving outside of London, and we'll have an interview today with
Shabazz Khan.
You probably know him. He's like the main guy in SKTV UK. So tell us something about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Shabazz Khan. I run a platform called SKTV UK and One Step UK. You might have seen us on social media. When we first started initially, the aims of the platform were to sort of just motivate and inspire people. And we started off by doing an interview, and we started a series called My Journey. So similar to what you guys are doing right now, we started off as that, and we just wanted to sort of help people, inspire people to sort of just do something with their lives, or just look at the journeys of other people and be like, oh, maybe I can change my life how this person changed their life. And with time, I think we grew a lot. We grew more than we probably even expected. Then we started to do events within Leicester, and we're now sort of doing events on a monthly basis to raise awareness on things like mental health, relationships, knife crime, which is massively important around the UK and just worldwide as well. And yeah, that's a bit of who we are.
So you decided as a YouTuber, you're not just going to make content for views or for finance. You want to help the community and document it on the YouTube page. That's what I'm getting for you.
We are a social media platform, and like how you said, for us, the money aspect of it does come later. But for us, there's more issues in our community right now that we really need to deal with and really need to work with. And I think that's the most important thing, to be able to make an impact on people's lives. And even if you can change one person's life, then I personally feel that I count that as successful.
Yeah, and you mentioned how you go out to the homeless, drive around Leicester, meet with the homeless, talk to the homeless, and give them food, water, even clothing. How do you raise the money for that? Like, do you get donations or? So
for that, in fact, right now it's all self-funded. So like, it's just out of our sort of, we want to give back from what we have. We haven't set up any fundraising links or anything like that for now, because I think that's just between us, just for temporary. But there's a lot of people that have seen us do this work, and they want to get involved in it as well. And obviously in the future, what we're going to try to do is same way we've created fundraising links for the other projects we've done, we're going to focus on doing a fundraising link for the Leicester Homeless Project, so that we can sort of sustain it over a longer period of time as well. But you mentioned how we obviously go to talk to these homeless people as well. Sometimes it breaks your heart when you sit down with these homeless people, homeless individuals, and you speak to them about their story, and you speak to them about their journey, and you just realize that it could be literally anyone. Like, we've sat down with homeless individuals that have pulled out files, and they've got a lot of certificates, come from a good sort of industry, come back from they had a good job and all of that, and a week later they're on the streets. So it just shows you that it could be any one of us, and that's the reason why we do the work we do. And who knows, maybe we become the receivers of what we're sort of doing right now. Hopefully not, but it could be anyone in that situation.
Yes, I spoke to a volunteer at the Brixton Soup Kitchen, and he mentioned that everyone really in this country is 2 months away from being homeless.
Wow.
2 months away without work, paid. So if you don't get paid for 2 months, you burn through all your savings, and yeah, you're broke and you can't afford rent. So yeah, it can literally be anyone. Yeah, for real. And that's the thing I've realised a lot, man. Like, the homeless situation is a bit of a tough one, and the homeless protests that we actually covered a few years ago, that sort of actually brought the starting of a new platform called One Step UK. Because it was at that moment I realised that there's so much that we complain about, but we do so little about. So we complain about a lot of issues. We complain about, for example, knife crime. We complain about mental health. We complain about all those things, but we've got to actively ask ourselves, what are we doing in order to help? Even if it's a little thing that we're doing, what are the steps we are taking to sort of help those situations? So when we covered that homeless protest, the reason why we actually went out there on that day was because certain, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it, but certain big mainstream media platforms refused to actually cover the homeless protest on that day. Is that what the activists said, told you?
Yeah, so that's what, yeah, so in it,
big channels.
Yeah, so the mainstream media was meant to come, local radios were meant to come, no one turned up. And just an hour before that, I called up the organizer and I said, look, we're going to make our way there because we've got a camera, and like you probably know as well, a camera is probably one of the most powerful weapons that you can have, because you can literally show the real truth that a lot of mainstream medias are sort of hiding. So we went out there and we filmed it, and then we met up with another individual called Chris Issa, And from there, we realised that our sort of passions lied in the same sort of thing. We were at our protest. We were very passionate about making a difference to the community. And that sort of brought the birth of our sort of second platform called One Step UK. And along with Roxana Hussein, who's another person who does a lot for the community, and Benjamin, who is the city retreat manager. So they've done a lot of work for homeless before. We came together and we're like, yeah, we definitely need to do a lot of work. And that's what really started our second platform called One Step UK as well.
No, back to those mainstream medias. Did they agree to come at first and then back out?
That's what I heard. So that's what I heard. So I heard that there was again, I won't mention the names, but there were a few.
You don't want to get sued.
Trust me.
Yeah, I know.
We're a small time platform right now. But yeah, we heard that they were meant to come. And just a few hours before, I seen a post on Facebook or something like that they didn't want to get involved in it. So that's when we turned up and we just started to document the actual protest itself.
Well, yeah. And you mentioned how you go out to the homeless, drive around Leicester, meet with the homeless, talk to the homeless and give them food, water, even clothing. How do you raise the money for that? Like, do you get donations or? So
for that, in fact, right now it's all self-funded. So like it's just out of our sort of, we want to give back from what we have. We haven't set up any fundraising links or anything like that for now, because I think that's just between us, just for temporary. But there's a lot of people that have seen us do this work and they want to get involved in it as well. And obviously in the future, what we're going to try to do is same way we've created fundraising links for the other projects we've done, we're going to focus on doing a fundraising link for the Leicester Homeless Project so that we can sort of sustain it over a long period of time as well. But you mentioned how we obviously go to talk to these homeless people as well. Sometimes it breaks your heart when you sit down with these homeless people, homeless individuals, and you speak to them about their story and you speak to them about their journey, and you just realize that it could be literally anyone. Like we've sat down with homeless individuals that have pulled out files and they've got a lot of certificates, come from a good sort of industry, come back from they had a good job and all of that, and a week later they're on the streets. So it just shows you that it could be any one of us. And
no, back to those mainstream medias. Did they agree to come at first and then back out?
That's what I heard. So that's what I heard. So I heard that there was again, I won't mention the names, but there were a few.
You don't want to get sued.
Trust me.
Yeah, I know.
We're a small time platform right now. But yeah, we heard that they were meant to come, and just a few hours before, I seen a post on Facebook or something like that they didn't want to get involved in it. So that's when we turned up and we just started to document the actual protest itself.
Well,
I hate to say, but I don't think the government are really taking it that seriously, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon. I like to remain someone that's sort of optimistic about the future, but in terms of the government-wise, I don't see anything that sort of are they going to do this with it, or are they going to do that, or are they going to start taking more attention, or are they going to be paying more attention to it? And that's why I really think, personally, I feel as a community, I always believe as a community, we still need to do something about it. So we shouldn't wait on the government. So obviously we should pressure them because that's their job. They need to do something about it. Exactly. We pay taxes for them for things to happen go correctly in a country.
So you think we have to demand it, even though we've paid for it, we still have to demand it?
Yeah, 100%.
So we have to take what's ours?
Yeah, 100%. Because like I said, the funding's there. We pay our taxes. The government's got the money. I think we need to press them more, push them more. And again, how does that come down to? And I know I keep mentioning community, but I think community is the massive asset to sort of anything. Community needs to push the government to sort of, whether it's in terms of protest, whether it's in terms of raising an awareness, but we need some action from the government, and we need some action from ourselves to push the government to do that thing. For us to move forward, we need to come together as a community and move forward. It's like the whole situation with Grenfell.
Yes, Grenfell.
That was really sad to see. But do you see how the community pulled forward? Yeah, exactly.
Food.
Where were the officials? They were nowhere to be seen.
Jeremy Corbyn did come out.
Yeah, Jeremy Corbyn came out, but it took a while before the Prime Minister came out to respond to it. Yeah.
Theresa May, I'm not surprised. The Conservative government.
But it just shows you the strength of the community. Now, if the community hadn't taken action at that point, would the people have any hope?
Would they have clothes or food?
Exactly. So a community is a massive thing, and I always believe in that, working together with like-minded people, or just working together with people in general. We need to set our differences aside and just come together and just be trying to leave this world in a better position than we've come in.
Yeah, and that's a good note to end on. Awesome. SK.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. I'm glad I came down to Leicester for this. Awesome. Okay, that's Prince Crew out. See ya.
So that next door was the youth cafe. We used to run a cafe, and then here was the sort of socialising area. But when we did start the shelter, we moved across to the Bruce Grove Youth Centre. So we run our youth club there every Tuesdays. Okay. So if you go in there on a Tuesday, it's basically us, but in their building, if that makes sense, yeah. Due to sort of like the cuts and stuff, the building was just like kind of like empty because their own council staff weren't there to run the youth centre. So we said, well, if the building's empty and we're occupied here, why don't we go over there and do it there? Which is good in the sense that it was more open now to people in the community rather than kids that just come to the church. So yeah, again, I was saying how they're very good at building stuff, so they created all these little compartments that people can keep their belongings in.
Hi guys, it's me again, Jermaine. I'm here with a special guest, Pastor Alex Jesse. Could you tell us a bit more of what you do here?
Basically, we are a church called the Highway of Holiness Church, and out of the church we do a lot of community projects to help our community. So we run youth projects to help young people in Tottenham at Bruce Grove Youth Centre. We run also a homeless project here on the premises, where we have homeless men sleep here. For the last 10 years, we've had homeless men from different parts of the world come to sleep here. Let's say from 2009 up to date. The homeless men come from different countries, and they are here all through the year, 365 days a year, and it's non-stop. They eat here, they bath here. We help them to find jobs, accommodation. They move on. A new set of people come and take their place, and like that. And it's gone on for 10 years. We are looking at about over 1,000 people who have come through in the last 10 years. And it's still ongoing, and so that is the night shelter side of it. But then in the last 4 months, we started a day center, which runs twice a week, Monday and Friday. And basically, what we do, we open the day center up for people, part of our residents and those in the community who might be homeless and need a place to just have something to eat or take a shower or something like that, use computers. So we open the place up for people to come in, and so they can come to the day center and they can use the facilities. And we have support workers here to help them. We have befrienders who can sit with them and talk to them and help them with things that they need. So it could be just filling forms in application forms, or applying for the benefits and stuff like that, helping them to find jobs and things like that, to get them back on their feet, and then they move on. So that is what we've started. It's a very recent one. That one is open to the whole community. So even if you don't live here, but you are in the community as a homeless person, you can access that service. Or you could be somebody in the community who is just lonely and just need a place to go and interact with others and to have some support. They can also come in. So we are now not just a night shelter, we are also a day center, and it's a 24-hour operation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Pastor Alex, I just want to say what you're doing is great, amazing, and very inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, we've from the time we started this, we've seen the impact that it's had on people and the lives that have been transformed. And for us, that is the driving force. Seeing lives change and transformed is the key. And as inspiring as it is, The idea is to inspire other people to do the same. And so we want to use our inspiration to inspire other people to do more, because the problem is huge. There's no way we can solve that problem on our own. So the whole idea is that people will get inspiration from here, and they will go and do more. And there are homeless people who have left here and helped other people. You know, so we have, for example, somebody who came maybe in the early days, maybe 9 years ago, a homeless person. He got back on his feet, got his own accommodation, got a job, and then he came back, took some of the guys here to work for him and employed them, and then they found a flat and they live together. They share a flat in Hackney, you know. So we have one from Latvia, one from Nigeria, and one from England, you know, and they're all sharing a flat in Hackney, and they work for the Latvian guy, but they all met here, didn't know themselves, and they are together today as I speak.
Wow, that's great. Like the fact that they're all from different backgrounds, different countries, different cultures, and they're able to work together as a unit, that's quite an inspiring thing to hear. And the fact that someone that used to be homeless got back on their feet, sorted themselves out, and they came back to employ other homeless people, that's definitely amazing. So my next question is, as a community, like how can we all contribute to this issue? How can we help homeless people?
I think when it comes to the issue of homelessness, it's a societal problem. You know, it's you can't hide it anymore. You know, before you could hide it and blame this and blame, now it's in our face. You know, it's a societal problem, so it can only be solved at that level. You know, so there must be a will on the part of society to solve this problem. Okay, of course the government has to do its bit, but the whole of society must see this as an unacceptable thing. You know, until if we think it's just part of how things should be, we will never tackle it with all seriousness, unless we get to the point that we think, no, this is wrong, it shouldn't be. Then we will take drastic steps, but I don't think we are there yet. And that is what it would take. So everybody must play their part. Government has to play their part, the charities have to play their part, individuals have to play their part, families have to play their part. Okay, and that's key. Families have to play their part, because one of the big causes of homelessness is relationship breakdown. Okay, relationships are breaking down left, right, and center. If I look at the people who come here and you look through their issues, relationship breakdown is one of the big things. Okay, so as a society, we must get to our foundations, you know, and ask ourselves, you know, what has changed. So basically, the relationship breakdown is a big thing. Okay, so what is happening is that because there are so many separations, divorces, all kinds of things, or not even only that, but just people not being able to cope with each other. You know, so you could get there's a young boy who came to me. He's about in his early 20s, lives with mom and sisters, and he's become homeless, and he just lives down the road from here. I'm saying, wow, you shouldn't be homeless. He can get on with the mom and the sisters, and so he's homeless. You see my point? So it's at every stage, you know, but more to do with marriages and relationships that are breaking down. And so there is something fundamental there that needs to change for us to be able to put families together and hold our children and our husbands and wives together under one roof. Because once the family splits, you need a second house for the person who is going out. So if you have 10 splits, you need 10 more accommodations, because the one who is going out needs an accommodation. Okay, so these are some of the things that's causing the problems, and we need to find solutions to them.
So basically homelessness is basically a result of broken family relationships and that.
Not exclusively. Not exclusively. That's just one. That's
aspect.
just one aspect, but it's a major one.
Okay, so what are the other aspects of homelessness?
So you could get things like addictions, alcoholism. Where people are drunk, they go home, they get into fights, and the whole family breaks apart. Gambling is a big thing, where people just gamble their money away, and the family is starving, and the woman can't take it anymore, or the man, whichever way it is, and they're off. You see, so addiction drugs is a big thing. All these things contribute, to homelessness. And of course, there is the basic one, which is like lack of enough affordable housing. So we all know the population is increasing. There's not enough housing, and not just housing, but affordable housing. Okay, because if you have a low income, then you need a house that you can afford. So, for example, in London, for instance, the house, accommodation is quite expensive. So, government needs to build more affordable homes that people can afford to live. Okay, so that's also, so lack of housing is part, but the root causes are the things we need to tackle more. But yeah, they all contribute to it. Yeah.
I think definitely it's very important for people to be aware of these things, and that I think it's very important, like, to tackle these issues such as gambling, drug addictions. It's all got to do with a issue within that person that the person might not know about. So would you say definitely mental health plays a big part in homelessness?
Mental health does. We have a lot of people who come to us with mental health problems. It's significant actually. It's significant actually, and actually, when you become homeless, that process can actually affect your mental health. So somebody might not even have a big mental health issue at the beginning of their homelessness, but with time, with all the stress and the anxiety and everything else, so mental health is definitely a big one, and it needs to be dealt with early, so that people don't go down with it. But yeah, mental health is definitely a big part of it. Yeah,
and definitely these days, society is starting to become more aware of mental health issues, which is good, because that can kind of lead to more people helping homeless people, I guess. And for young people, how can young people within our generation basically help homeless people? How can we contribute to helping homeless people?
I think the first thing is to have the desire to help. Like you have taken the step to do something on your own as young people, and that is the first step, the desire that we want to do something about this, and it will take young people in every sphere of society doing something where they are at to deal with it. So you can deal with homelessness within a certain geographical area. Another set of young people can deal with it in another set of geographical area, and that's how it can be done. But I think you have to spread the word and the vision to more young people, and those who catch the vision can come on board and contribute towards what you are doing. So you can talk to young people in universities, colleges, youth clubs, places like that, and you will always get a group of young people that will be keen on something like this. It's not for everybody, so don't expect everybody to be sympathetic towards it. My point. Yeah, but you will get those who are.
And do you think the government are doing much to help this issue?
I think on the part of the government, I think the what the government can do is provide affordable housing, which they are not doing enough of, and we all know that. They are not building affordable housing. So even if you see a house being built in your area, the average prices that is going for, the average person can buy that house. The homeless person has no chance. Okay, so the government have to build their own accommodation that they can give out affordable housing to prices to people, and that is what is lacking.